Oh, it's recording. Sorry. Okay, so very warm welcome to our fast tracked SC call on the 19th of June. I can't believe it's nearly the end of June. So we have someone really exciting on the call this week. So we obviously had Jeff Olson on our NND call a few weeks ago. So when I had the opportunity to get in touch with Toni, the mastermind behind this whole Jeff Olson call, I've just been told, how could I not want Toni Olson to be representative on the SC call for Team YOLO today? So I'm honored to be standing in for Lauren to introduce her today. So I'm just going to read a bit of her bio, but also more than anything, I want Toni herself to share her story, and she's going to talk about how on the fast track to SC call, she's going to be talking a little bit about structure, but also about her motivation and what the drive was behind driving her business forward. So she's a national marketing director within Juice Plus, which is awesome. She's a 2-time Elton Award nominee, and she is actually featured on the Mom on a Mission YouTube videos. So you can now send us videos and be like, oh, I heard her talk. So her passion, she says, is to really help people take responsibility for their own health, wealth, and vitality. And more specifically, she loves helping parents get their families eating well. And she says that health is a learned skill, and one of the greatest gifts we can give to our children is the gift of health, which I totally agree with. So prior to Juice Plus, she was actually an international marketing director for the Park City Chamber Bureau, and she also works for the United States Olympic Committee in France. Oh my gosh, this is just so cool. And she met Jeff at the Winter Olympic Games, so that's super cool. So now she lives in Lakewood in Colorado with her husband and 3 daughters, and today I am honored to introduce Toni to share with us her gifts for the Fast Track to SC course. So do take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Tasha. It is really an honor and a privilege to be on this call. I think the world of Lauren, she is such a giver and has given so much to the Juice Plus community. So it's really a privilege for me to do any little bit for her. So thank you for having me. And I'll just start a little bit about myself and my journey. I first heard about Juice Plus 17 years ago. And at that time, my father-in-law was going through a major health crisis, and he sent some information about it to Jeff and I to check out for him. And I do have quite a bit of background in nutrition. Jeff was an Olympic athlete. So we looked at it. Jeff thought it made total sense. I, on the other hand, was very skeptical. And to be fair, we had just moved from Utah to Colorado. I was 8 months pregnant, and I really didn't have the bandwidth to fully look at Juice Plus. So I said, yeah, it's probably fine for your dad. He needs all the nutritional support he can get, but we're good. We don't take vitamins. We eat super healthy. We don't need Juice Plus. So I share that with you because I think we have to meet people where they're at. And I'm pretty certain there's nothing anyone could have said to me at that specific moment in time, given my circumstances, that would have made me open to Juice Plus. But fast forward about 9 months, and we ran into a woman a fellow Olympian that Jeff had competed with, and they started talking old ski racer talk, and she says, yeah, my knees aren't aching as chronically. And he said, well, what have you been doing? And she said, for the last year, I've been taking these fruits and vegetables in a capsule, this Juice Plus, and I think it's really helping. And it was actually in that moment when I thought, oh my gosh, what if, it could make some little difference for my husband? Because the reality was he was forced to retire from his sport of ski racing, his passion, before he really wanted to. He wanted to go to his 3rd Olympics because he wore out his knees, and he had 4 knee surgeries. And so I just thought, what if it could make some small difference? Okay, I should at least look into it. So I did, and back then it was tapes. I listened to a bunch of tapes. I went and read everything I could read, and I was kicking myself because I said, this is just fruits and vegetables. And even though we eat well, we're far from perfect. And fruits and vegetables, there's no downside to getting more nutrition from fruits and vegetables into your diet. So we went ahead and added Juice Plus to our diet, and I signed up as a rep at the same time. The only reason being I wanted to get it for the best price and maybe, offset our costs a little bit. So I had no intention of building a business. I was a very busy mom. At that point, I had 2 kids under the age of 3. He worked a stressful corporate job, traveled 70 to 80% of the time. And my life was very full. I did not want to take anything else on. But what happened was I totally fell in love with the product and with the business model, the freedom and the flexibility. And I loved that when I was out, you know, having lunch with a friend or at the gym or at the park with my kids, I could naturally share Juice Plus with people. And so somehow I managed to fast track to VF. I honestly don't know how, because I wasn't really trying. I was just genuinely sharing my enthusiasm about Juice Plus with people. And what happened was I was like, wow, that was fun. And I liked that I had a little something of my own again, that I was generating some income, and you know, I had complete freedom and flexibility with it. So I continued to just dabble along with Juice Plus, not putting in a huge effort, but enjoying what I was doing and making a little bit of money. And because I had stopped working after my second child was born, and when we had moved. And then I decided to go to a national conference. I have to be honest with you, my only motivation to go to that was because it was in San Diego, and I had a girlfriend who lived out there, and she'd been bugging me to come visit her. And I thought, all right, I can go visit my friend and I'll learn a little bit more about Juice Plus. I can write off part of the trip. It'll be great. So I had no idea how that conference was going to change my life forever. The first thing that happened was my belief in the product skyrocketed, because when we started on Juice Plus, we were both very healthy. Jeff didn't really notice anything for the first probably 9 months. I noticed more energy when I added Juice Plus. I was still nursing, and so I was excited about that. But for both of us, we had kind of intellectually done what we needed to do to get that Juice Plus was making a difference on the inside. And we were cool with that. We didn't care if we noticed anything on the outside. But when I went to that conference and I started meeting people and hearing their stories of how it had completely changed their health picture, I was blown away. And, you know, it was a lifeline for some people who were just not getting nutrition in their diet at all. And listening to moms tell the stories of how their kids were finally going to the bathroom, or, you know, just knowing that it was making such a difference. And so really, I came away with such firm belief in the product and a sense of obligation that I needed to just go out and share this. That was the first thing that happened. The next thing that happened was my belief in the company became rock solid. And the truth is if I was going to go out and really put my credibility on the line with people, I wanted to make sure Juice Plus wasn't going to make me look bad. You know, at the end of the day, I needed to know the company had integrity, and that they were really was what they said they were. And I got that going to that conference, listening to Jane Martin speak and meeting the people from corporate. So again, if you feel like your belief isn't there yet, going to the big events is what's going to help to build that belief quickly for you. So that was huge. And then the final thing, and probably the most important thing, was that I got a vision at that conference. I heard the national marketing director speeches and saw them get up there on the stage, and I was blown away. And really, one of the first things that struck me was that it wasn't like there were people who had special talents or really well educated. It was the one that struck me the most was this grandmother who was a truck driver, and she got up and she was from Kentucky, and she talked, with her little cute accent, and her husband Harold stood there like this the whole time. He did not crack a smile. And she's like, yeah, I just share as I'm driving across the country, and I share, and I ask them what they think when I'm driving back. And I thought, wow, if she can do this, I could do this. And then I saw couples who were doing this business together and having so much fun. And so I just thought, okay, I really got excited. So I came away from that conference with the intention to become a national marketing director. From that time, it took me almost another 4 years to get to NMD. I will tell you, I would not change anything about that journey. I had my third child. I was able to keep my family my priority and truly fit this business in around my family and design my life the way I wanted to. So I wouldn't change that. I know you can go much faster today with social media, can blow it out of the water. But I think you need to figure out what works for you and what your goals are. And for us, when I got to NMD, Jeff was able to leave the corporate world, which was super cool. And we haven't looked back. It's been gosh, almost 12 years that it's been our only source of income. And we're so incredibly grateful to the Juice Plus company and to this community. And really, like I said before, feel so obligated, or a moral obligation to share, to continue sharing. And what people do with the information is their choice. But we do feel very passionate that this can make such a difference in people's lives, and that we need to share that, this gift of health. Do you want me to get into the structure stuff, or what do you want me? I'm not sure exactly where you want me to go from here. I can keep talking. Just tell me what you like.
I'm loving the talking. I think maybe, what was it that I didn't know that about your journey. So I'm like, that's so cool. What was your driving force, your motivation to never give up? And did you feel the pressure to be NMD? And were you thinking, was there a frustration, or like at the time, did you love the journey, or like now you look back, do you love the journey more? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what I love about this business is that you can truly do it in those stolen moments if you have to. Like, I had a very full schedule with my 3 kids. And so I knew I didn't have a lot of hours to work my business, but the hours I did have, I intentionally did the high payoff activities first. And I think that I had consistency, and I focused on high payoff activities. So if I only knew I had an hour today to do my Juice Plus business, first and foremost, I'm sitting down and I'm making phone calls to prospects, to new team members, so that was probably the biggest thing. I was very disciplined about doing my business, touching my business every single day, even if it wasn't a lot of time. And touching, when I did do it, I didn't check email and read the latest, whatever. I got on and I made the phone calls first. And if I had time to do all the other stuff, great. But I think that it's important to know what those high payoff, at the end of the day, talking to people first and foremost every single day is what's going to build your business. Scrolling on Facebook, and you can do it social media wise, making those connections too. And I hat is off to people who are just rocking it with social media, because I'm still learning. My husband's kind of mastering it faster than me, but so making those connections in any way you can, building that relationship. And that is what I focused on, because that's what I enjoyed, quite honestly. So I didn't really feel the pressure to get to NMD until I was about 3 years in, when my husband was totally miserable in his job. And so I thought, all right, this isn't sustainable. If I get to national marketing director and we have that benefits package, that's what drove me. Because with 3 kids, I knew that he couldn't just leave the corporate world. So that was my big incentive, was to get a benefits package. And then I knew we could figure it out from there. So that drove me. That was my why. And I will tell you, having my kids be my reason, and there's plenty of days that could have been my excuse, but I just said, you know what, we got to make this happen for our family. And so it forced me to get out of my comfort zone too, to make the uncomfortable phone calls. That was huge, but I was really focused on our future and what it could bring if I was willing to just stick with it through the hard times. And I just believe at the end of the day, I love the fact that this business, and I'm sure you guys get it with Lauren so much, like this business is so much about growing you as a person. And I love that. And I know for me, I am, even though if I can do those uncomfortable things, kind of get out of my own way, I feel so empowered afterwards. Like in the moment, it's it's not fun, but you get past it and you're like, wow, I did that. And then if it's made a difference for someone, when like first time I had to speak at Mitra Reyes, my upline, and she had me go out to her boot camp in Seattle, and I was terrified. I hate public speaking, terrified. And I tried to think of every possible way to get out of it. Couldn't come up with anything. And so she had me train at her boot camp. And, I just was all nerves. And then afterwards, I had 2 moms come up to me and just, share what it had meant to them. And that made it all worth it. It made all the terror and all the agony worth it. So I think when we focus on others and put others first, then it makes such a big difference, and it can keep you going on that journey. So be really clear on why you're doing it, because that's different for everybody, and I've got moms on my team who don't necessarily want to get to NMD. That's not their goal right now. They want to have a nice little check and have plenty of time at home with their kids, and then maybe down the road. So like I'm meeting them where they're at, and I support them where they're at. Other people, like they want to retire their husbands or, whatever it is. And we are all in, and so it's really important for you to find your motivation in this business, because we all have unlimited potential at the end of the day. But what are you willing to do? Because there are costs to success, right? And it's not free, and you have to make some sacrifices. And what's going to keep you going is if you're super clear on why. You hear it every time you hear a training. It's why are you doing this? So get super, super clear on that. Did that kind of answer that question?
Yeah, massively. Thank you. It's funny you say that, because I saw a t-shirt in Lauren's suitcase last night that said, "The dream is free, the hustle is sold separately." And I'd seen that before, but I'd forgotten about it. And I was like, that is just so true. And because we're always talking about, always dream bigger, like, you're going to dream, might as well dream big and all these things. But then, like, me personally, what I've started to do more lately is talk about the hustle. And I'll talk about the fact that I am hustling, and I'm proud of it because I have that hustle. But the point is, everybody can have that. And I think that sometimes I agree with everything you said on that whole, meeting people where they're at, but also like just helping people understand that if you just did a little bit every day, if you just touched your business, then your life will change. And the thing is, I think some people do it for a week and they give up, and consistency is just everything in this. And Lauren was saying this morning on our leadership call, if nobody was on it, she was saying, like, that's what the Australians are doing right now. They just got really consistent and they just got really focused. And she was talking about how out of 1,700 people at the conference, there were 200 people that were pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
How crazy is that, right? It's just like mad when you look at that, and how like we do have, and I found it quite hard to relate with that whole mums thing, because I'm not a mum, I'm nowhere near to be a mum. But then I realized it doesn't matter, because I can just latch on to the fact that someone in our team is a mum and use that to grow instead. So no, I think it's a really valuable what you said. Meet people where you're at. I feel like you explained it better than I've ever understood it before. So
well, and just because I see that little baby right there, it's just making my heart warm. Oh God, I want to add, because as a mom, my kids are 20 and 15 now. I really do believe this business has made me a better mom. It's modeled for my children how to set goals and how to work hard to achieve those goals and how to make some sacrifices. So I can, I've had to miss a few things here and there, but we've been so much more present in our kids' lives than we would have been if we worked typical corporate jobs. And we've been able to do amazing things. Last year, I was able to go to Australia for a month. One of my team members is from Australia, and we went down there to work and have a little bit of fun. And there, when she first asked me if I would go with her, my immediate reaction was like, no, I can't go anywhere for a month. I've got a business and a family. And then I just sat back and was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I totally can go. I can go, I can work my business anywhere. My kids are old enough now where they're pretty self-sufficient. So yeah, as if you have kids or you see them in your future, just know this business is an amazing business for anyone, but especially for parents who want to really have their family be their first priority.
Awesome. Sorry, I just had to let the dog out. Awesome. Before I ask anybody before I ask you something, does anybody have any questions, or anybody want to start thinking about some questions? I know I did a mini breakout meeting with some of our team yesterday, and I said, your task is to write down questions.
I have a question.
Okay, great.
Hi.
Hi.
I've got a couple of new team members lately who have had a few no's, which we all do, obviously, in this business. How did you get past being bothered by getting no's from people? Because I know everyone kind of struggles with that at the start, but how did you get past that?
So have you heard of the book Go for No?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was huge for me, reading that book, because at first I'll be honest, I took it personally. I'm that kind of person. I want everyone to like me. I don't want to hear no. That kind of makes it uncomfortable. So I had to work really, really hard on focusing on doing the activity and not the outcome, right? So as long as I was reaching out to 3, 5, 10 people, whatever I had set, then I had to mentally say, okay, you've done your job. Now the outcome's out of your hands. And if they say no, they're not saying no to you. They're just not ready yet. Right? To me, every no is a not now, because I think of myself. Like I said no. I said no for almost a year. And, was I saying no to the person? No, I was just saying no to Juice Plus because I just wasn't in a mental. So I think, again, just saying to yourself, all right, meet them where they're at. They just aren't ready. They're not ready yet. Love them where they're at. Keep the door open. I think that's the most important thing. Keep the relationship going, and hopefully down the road. So if you think you're just, I always, when I offer Juice Plus, I think of it as a gift. We have a big bow around it. And, some people are ready for it and some people aren't. And I will tell you, it gets easier and easier and easier the longer and the more you do it. It's a muscle kind of like that you build where you're like, okay, it's the rejection muscle. I can handle it. I can handle it. I can handle it. And each time it gets easier.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a quick question if that's, if this is a good time. So I've been approaching my chicken list, and it has to do with your no question here. It's a good, and one of my really good friends and her kids have some pretty serious chronic health issues in their early 20s, late teens. And she's really one of my dearest friends. This might make me cry. And I told her, I said, I've been nervous to tell you what I do, but I have something I need to share with you. And I really feel it would help your family tremendously. And I just was wondering if you'd take a peek, because I feel uncomfortable not saying anything to you anymore. And at first she was just like, okay, I'll look at it. She goes, but I just hate these things. And it made me feel so, it's like what you said, you don't want to take it personally, but it's, my heart was sad. So sorry. I don't mean to be emotional, but it happened yesterday and it just sort of crushed me.
Oh.
Do you have any words of wisdom, or how do you approach those people that mean so much to you when you really feel like you can help them and you can't, I don't know. I don't know where my question is in that. I guess I'm too emotional to get to the point.
No. I think we can all relate if you've been doing this for any length of time. There's people that you want it so much for that are just not ready. And I will tell you, Jeff's grandmother never got on Juice Plus. She smoked her whole life. She died, in my opinion, way earlier than she needed to, but she was never open to it. And so again, you have to love her where she's at. Continue to build that relationship. Just let her know how much you care about her. Okay. And if you keep doing that, eventually, I have to believe, if she just knows where your heart is, I just believe that eventually she may come around. And if you're sharing genuinely and authentically with her, that's all you can do. And be at peace with it,
Thank you. I felt like I said to her, I said, I can't sleep with myself anymore without at least sharing this with you. And so I had to be able to just put that out there for you to have an opportunity to take a look at it if you wanted to.
And she said she would?
Well, she just begrudgingly said, oh, I hate these things, and that's was her response. And so I felt like a little bit like, I think it's the MLM thing, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I feel awkward. Like, I don't even know how to follow up on that.
Well, were you going to send her like a video to Dr. Sears or one of the children's health videos?
Yes, I was. That's what I was going to do.
Yeah. And that's and again, say, I would just tell her, I know this has made a difference for so many families, and I have no idea if what it would do for you, but I just believe to my core, there's no condition that good nutrition isn't going to help. So, I would love you to check it out. And if you're open to it, great. And if you're not, I totally understand.
Cool. Thank you, Toni. I appreciate it. It was just a raw moment for me yesterday.
Yeah, and we have them, and again, it's part of knowing you're going to have to discipline your disappointments in this business, but it is worth it. It's so worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think as well, if I can just add that to Manon, like, at least you did all that you could. Like, at least like, now you'll never live in regret because you tried. And that whole idea of a what if you hadn't, like, that would have been worse than saying, oh, what if you had, and going through that hurt that you get now. Like, I'll never forget when I finished university and I thought I graduated with 30 of my best friend ride or die crew, and then I started the Juice Plus business like a year later, and like 2 of them like was like, yeah, I'll support you, and the rest of them like, no, it's trash. I was like, and I'll never forget that, and I always share it with my team because I'm like, I thought I had 30 people like, boom, ready, but it's just not the way it is sometimes. So no, I think that's thanks for sharing, Manon, because I think that's really valuable lesson, like, that we all need to hear and be reminded of, no matter how long you've done this business. Like, there's people on your chicken list that you're like, I'm never gonna tell them.
It's true. Well, actually, it's interesting to back up what you said too, Toni, is right after that call, I reread a portion of Go for No book because I felt like I was trying to shift it. Like, I was really trying to remove my heart from it, meaning like, just go for the activity, not the outcome. But I was thinking I wasn't attached to the outcome, but I kind of was because I care.
Yeah, well, it's not easy. And I'll tell you, one of the groomsmen in our wedding, he was never open to Juice Plus. Jeff just kept trying to share it with him. Then he got cancer. And finally we went back to him again and said, hey, so it is never easy. And he did eventually get on Juice Plus and he's doing great, but that was 3 years of us kind of suggesting it, and he never was open. So just take heart in that, if you just continue to love them, meet them where they're at, eventually they may come around.
Thank you for allowing me to share and just ask, because I was just, I was rattled.
No, thank you for
that's
sharing.
exactly what these calls are for. So that's like, it's so good of you even, Manon, to share, because some people don't, I think, talk about it enough. And I think if there's one thing that we as a community want to, what's the other thing? Encourage people to do is to share, and to just like share your challenges and share what's going on. Because I think that you've helped so many people on this call just by sharing that, Manon. So even like, thank you from me for just being so open. I just want to be respectful of your time, Toni, but I would really love, one thing that we're trying to work back in with our SC calls is setting 3 kind of like homeworks or like tasks that you think that would really help take someone to the next level, whether it be they're at SC now or they're at like a DD or a VF position, which is SDD in England. Is there like 3 kind of like tasks, or maybe something that people you think they should read or anything like that you'd recommend?
Well, given what we just talked about, if you haven't read Go for No, it's a tiny little book. You can read it probably in a couple hours. I would say, definitely do that, because that never totally goes away. It gets easier, but that rejection never told. So if you read that book, it gives you such perspective on, how many times people say no before they say yes. So that would be first. How many of you guys do 3-way calls consistently? Not a lot.
I know me and my team do all the time, but that's just because of Lauren. So Lauren has hammered that into us as well. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm one of the leaders on the Brave Leaders personal development course that corporate just launched here in the US. And that is homework we're assigning every week, is for people to do 3-way calls. And I'm working with a group of senior sales coordinators, and it's astounding to me how many of them still have fear around them. So I would encourage you, if you're not doing them, to do them. You bring your prospects to your upline, but then also offer to be the person to do them for your downline. If you've been doing this long enough where you feel comfortable, because that is truly such, or maybe it's a 3-way, or maybe it's inviting onto a Zoom, but getting that third-party validation, especially when you're inviting into the business as a newer person, I think it's really, really powerful. So I would say that. And I would do a double check on your DMO. Really, like, sit down. I like to do it Sunday evenings and kind of plan out my week and be very intentional about what I'm doing. But, sit back and take a look at what you're doing in your business, how much time you're spending, where you're spending that time, and get super clear on having, what you can do in a demo. That will move your business forward if you can just figure out how you can consistently fit in those high payoff activities and have fun. I think that's one of the things I love most about our business is that we work with the coolest people on the planet, but we get to choose who we work with, and it's fun. It's fun. We're out there making a difference in people's health and people's wealth, and we're, having a great time doing it. So make sure, if you're not having fun in your business, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
I agree. I totally agree. I remember I used to take things far too seriously, and now I just have a laugh about it, and I'm like, oh.
Well, 17 years later, I've been doing this for 17 years, and I'm having more fun than I ever have. So,
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to remind everybody as well that remember Lauren said no for 17 years, guys. So if anybody is, that you saying that reminded me, like, if anybody in your life is saying no right now, like, just know that it might take a few years, but you never know. And if they come along and they're like a Lauren or they're a Toni, then it was worth
the wait.
I was going to chime in for a second just to sort of go on what Manon was saying. So with my dad, he was the most difficult person. And after berating me for like an hour and a half, I just gave him my products and I said, Dad, here you go. And, okay, that's a different situation, but he actually took them because I've got my couple of very, very close friends. One of them was he wasn't eating. He was really in a sort of bad way and stuff. And he kind of refuses point blank to take them. I was actually thinking of getting him the Chewies. And that's, so there's the force feeding. But then, it depends how close you are to the person. And I was going to say, Tash, when you introduced me last year, so, I was pretty much hot on the press and I was going to be like, yeah, no props. But my general attitude, I was a personal trainer at the age of 17. I was an advanced instructor at 16. Now I'm very young, 38. So all the way back then, I didn't give in to, I thought, no, my body needs to be able to handle its shit, excuse the way I'm expressing it. But, I need to, it's only if I'm going to be ill that I'll try and give something extra to the body to support it. So that was my attitude. And some of you may or may not know that I was sort of recovering from a debauchery from alcohol, drugs, and not eating properly, and just sort of depression, having lost my mom and so on. So my life was like the complete absolute opposite of anything that I had ever started with, and I probably overtrained when I was a lot younger because of the fact that that was my sort of high, and natural high. So that's the only reason, last year, that I kind of had that breakthrough of I was trying a product which was called Natural Source, but the thing was it wasn't bioavailable, so I was peeing luminous. Now if it wasn't that I was a beetroot fan and had peed pink before, I'd have been seriously worried. So when it came down to actually trying this, that was the only reason I actually gave it a go, was to rebuild my body, because I'd made a choice to actually do that. So I think finding that specific thing, because otherwise it's no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And I've had 5 knee surgeries. I've had 3 lung operations, and okay, that hasn't been a problem per se, but I've got a missing ligament in my wrist and so on. So I had all of these aches and pains which were continuously coming up, and once I started Juice Plus, I never imagined all of that to go away, and migraines and things like that. So that was an extra bonus, because I was just working on rebuilding the whole sort of system. And so after having all these extra things happen, that's just sold me, and it's what, everybody should be on this. So I don't know if there's one way of finding that little something to get to people, maybe, anyway, so sharing that, I hope that's sort of maybe thrown a little bit of light on something. Okay, over and out. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Monica. Thank you for sharing that, because I think you're right, and like Toni's saying, sometimes it's just going to be one of those things that people don't get straight away, and you just have to try and not take it straight to heart. I can't imagine how Jeff was taking it from Lauren for 17 years. But he just was persistent, and he just carried on, and thank God he did. So I just want to say,
put all his eggs in one basket. So if you're don't focus so much on one person. If you're sharing with lots and lots of people and filling up your pipeline, then that one person isn't going to get to you as much, because you know you've got so many other people. So when they do come around, it's great, but you're not putting a lot of attention on that.
So true. So true. Thank you so much. So much. I just got a message that distracted me. Oh my gosh. But thank you so much, Toni. I'm so grateful, and especially for answering those questions, and, you know, for really just giving us your time, because I understand it's totally precious and you've got so many things to do with, especially like the fact that you're an NMD and you've done this for so long, and it's so awesome to have somebody that's, you know, been in this for such a long time and is saying, hey, look, you know what, 17 years on and I'm more in love with it now. Like, I love the passion that you shared with us. So I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of me, on Team YOLO, for Lauren, for everybody, especially on this team. And I know that you've added a lot of value to this, and I will make sure that this is added to YouTube, thanks to Rebecca, straight away. And we'll send you the YouTube link so you can share this with anyone as well. So thank you so much, guys. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks you, Toni.
Thank you, Toni.
Thank you.
Have an awesome
Thank you very
week.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.